I think when I first met with Felicia, it was in October, and I was very sure this was going to be a very different show. So I had automatically planned out all my pieces. They were going to be very Hillary focused, and it was going to be just like almost a triumphant show. And then November happened, and I had already started a piece. I cut out all the presidents in black and white, and I'd cut out Hillary's face in color, and it was going to be symbolic of our first woman president. So I'm literally picking Hillary Clinton's out of this massive collage, and then that's kind of how I started this show. And I think what was kind of fascinating about this process is it almost feels like every week something new happens and there's a new issue to address. Women and men as well in this country, they were just fighting back, and every week there was a new symbol that was born. So we had one piece that was on the pussy hats, and it's amazing that one woman knit this hat, and it became this massive movement. This show is a mixture of optimism and pessimism, because I think the glass ceiling breaks and the glass ceiling holds, and that's kind of where we are right now.
There's a number of reasons why Hillary lost, but one of the reasons why she lost was because of the economic anxiety that individuals in those middle states suffered, and it's real. And we live in a bubble, and you need to travel into the South and those states where they are suffering. All they are living on is underground economies.
When we sit here and say, and I say it all the time, I can't believe, what he's doing to us culturally, this is devastating. There's people who don't have the opportunity to think about what's happening culturally, and we have to start to understand what they need, because President Obama made a mistake. When he gave his State of the Union address last January, he said, this economy is doing so well, we've had extraordinary improvements, and anyone who disagrees is peddling lies. Well, there were many, many parts of the country, not just massively depressed ones, that said, hold on a second, that's not me. And that's why it wasn't even that the polls were wrong. There was a lot of people who didn't want to admit it, because they did find President Trump offensive in some way. But they're saying, I'm suffering and I need help, and he offered them help. We need to offer help.
Everyone has to do what they do best. So if you're an activist, or you're a marcher, or you're a letter writer, or you're an artist, I think we can all make a difference through whatever our medium is.
And what we have to do is take the power and all the anxiety that individuals are experiencing, export it to those states and turn them from red to blue. Continue to organize, elect more women to office here in New York City. There are only 13 members of the city council out of a body of 51 that are women. And as a result of term limits, there's a possibility that we will lose 5 and we will only have 8 women in the city council. That's unconscionable. And we need to make sure that we support women, because women have a difficult time running for office. We need more women to walk into rooms and to talk about childcare, pay equity, discrimination, sexual harassment, women businesses, raising our salaries, transparency, accountability, making sure that there are more women at the table, more women in the arts, more women in culture, more women in STEAM. And the only way that we can do it is that we continue to have discussions like this, and more individuals know about the importance of having a diverse body which reflects the needs, the felt needs of all New Yorkers, including the majority of Americans, and that is women.
I met with a high-ranking female political official in the city 2 weeks ago. She said to me exactly what you said. There are the lowest number of women in city official right now. We're at higher rank, so she's like, we have more power than we've ever had in terms of the women, but there's less of us. And she said, this is quite interesting. She said that if there is a position, and if a man has 20% of the skill set for that position, he will go for it, and he will apply. But if a woman has 80% of the skill set and is completely qualified in that 80%, but has 20% that they see fault, they will not go for that position, or they will not throw their candidacy in.
There's a study, and I forget the numbers. It says you only have to ask a man one time to run for office, and you have to ask women, I believe the number was 6 or 7 times to run for office, because we're trying to get more women interested in running for office in the city of New York, and we need to prepare them because we don't have a deep bench at all. And so it's really critically important that women consider that they run for office and become lobbyists and whatever. There's a wide range of jobs that are associated with being a politician.
If we want more women in elected office, we have to change the way campaigns are run. Why would anyone want to spend 2 years of their life running for president, having to raise hundreds of millions of dollars? It's like absurd how much time our politicians spend running for office. If you look at any other country.
Let's look at CEOs in the work world, right? If a female CEO fails or has problems, do you think the gender is used as a reason for the failure?
I mean, the data will show you that activists go after female CEOs more than they go after male CEOs. I think it's, Arianna could speak to this, I think it's too hard to judge it because unfortunately the numbers are so small. You've got more Fortune 500 CEOs named John or Dave than you do women total. So I think it's not a matter of are we harder on women? What needs to be focused on more is putting women in positions to get to that C-suite. I mean, you can't find a company, you know this better than I do, you cannot find a company today that doesn't want to have women on their boards. They do. What we need to do is figure out how to keep women in their industries and keep helping them move higher through the mid-ranks and senior ranks so they'll be eligible.
Stefan is making a very important point, though, which is we need a wider bench. You know, we've been having this conversation for decades, literally. How do we get more women at the top? How do we get more women on boards? And the numbers are not budging year after year. Workplaces at the moment are fueled by burnout and stress. And women have a harder time processing stress. And as a result, women in stressful jobs have a 40% greater risk of heart disease and a 60% greater risk of diabetes. So we need to change that culture. We need to change the workplaces where women and men find themselves in so that we don't have so many women leaving when they have children. There is absolutely no reason for us to organize our working lives, whether it's in politics or in business or in the media, in this same way that hasn't worked and has been proven not to work.
There are not enough CEOs, and part of the reason is because of our body politic, and there's not enough women in office. We need to change laws and make them more family friendly. We need to make sure that we pay women the same as we pay men. We need to make sure that we have laws in place to deal with discrimination, to deal with sexism, and to deal with when women want to leave the workforce to have children. Women on average are paid 70 cents on every dollar that a male makes, and for women of color it's even less, it's 56 cents. And the bill that I signed into law says employers in New York City will now be banned from asking prospective employees about their previous salary history, because the previous salary history of women is nothing more than a perpetuation of discrimination. And it carries with that woman all the way to retirement, which is why we are witnessing the feminization of poverty in this country.
When we hear resistance, it's not just resist and block out the other message. So what was just detailed was resistance with action. Because there's a real problem with this idea of just resist. Because if we're angry that the country is divided, if we keep our ears closed and go back and go into our tribes in this echo chamber, we're choosing the news that we listen to. And if you think about it, we're really rough on Trump supporters. We are. And trust me, I feel it. They make me angry, but we can't. We have to open our hearts and minds and listen to what they have to say and help find the middle. Because we can be the group that creates a solution. Because if we stay in our corner and say, I'm just going to wait until you're out of office, we're just as much part of the problem. And we're also feeding into it. Invite those other people to the table and hear what they have to say, because you're not necessarily entirely right and they're not necessarily entirely wrong.
We are polarizing the very debate. Why do you have to be left-wing to care about homeless children? You know, all these things are really essential for a thriving democracy. And if we simply make them appear as though only the left cares about them, we are marginalizing them.
Don't hate him or love him. Hold him accountable. Ask him, he's on Twitter every moment. Ask him a question on Twitter. Write, "Dear Mr. President, Ivanka Trump wants to be a woman's advocate." Tweet her every day, not, "You're not real, you're not legitimate." Tweet at her every day and say, "Human Rights Initiative was rolled back. Ivanka, you want to be a woman's advocate? What are you doing?" You don't have to hate them or love them. Keep pushing them. They are they're employees of the federal government.
You saw that one, I can't remember his name, but a Republican congressman who said, "Why should I pay for women's mammograms?" And one of his constituents say, "Why should I pay for bridges I don't drive on? Why should I pay for sidewalks I don't walk on?" Because that's the role of a good citizen. We pay for things we don't use, and I feel like we've forgotten that as a nation. We don't just pay for things that are for us, we pay for things that are for everyone, and it's like a lack of empathy on both sides. If someone says they're going through something, believe them, don't question it.
Start small. You know, we have enough campaigns, we have enough women's conferences, we have enough groups. Do something good, a tiny good thing for another woman every day. And if it becomes part of your lifestyle, you'll make a difference. In the workplace, say good things about other women. Compliment other women that you think are good to senior people in the company. Get noise around them because, you know, everybody loves groupthink. And so just start to push the ball forward.
We do have this tribe of women, and the key to that tribe is to support women who are coming up. You know, women who don't have their own influential tribe. How can we support them? How can we encourage them? And I love what Stephanie said about starting small. It really is, what are we doing every day? So if we can actually remember that women, when they speak up, they're going to question themselves immediately, much more than men do. So even if you don't think it matters, it does matter to say, "That was great."
When a woman says things, say, "That was great." Just bring one to a meeting. Is someone really going to say, "Well, what'd you bring her for?" If you just quietly do it, we'll take the world over.
I think that is a great way to end this conversation. I want to thank an amazing panel. I'd like to first thank Felicia and Anastasia Gallery for sponsoring this. If you have not gone to Anastasia Gallery and seen Isabella's work, you must go. You have until August to go. Stephanie, Arianna, Isabella, Letitia, thank you so much for this conversation. And thank all of you very much for coming tonight. Thank you.